Hello friends! Welcome back to Get Ready with America. My name is SJ, and this month I'm getting you ready for this year's elections state by state. This video will be discussing North Carolina, where they have several retirements plus a new House district that will shake things up next year. My eye look will be inspired by the state flower, the Carolina lily. And this is only because I couldn't put together a not concerning look to honor the state carnivorous plant, the Venus flytrap. If you want to watch any other 2022 state preview videos, I'll have my Votemas playlist linked below, where you'll also find links to more info about the elections in North Carolina. Standard disclaimer, this video was filmed and posted in the beginning of January. I hope the vast majority of the information I'm sharing will still be relevant whenever you're watching this up to the state's primary date, but candidate filing deadlines, actually candidate filing in general in North Carolina, has been postponed, so something in this video could be outdated at this point. Check the state government links in the description box for the most up-to-date information. Let's get into it. Republican Senator Richard Burr will not be returning to the U.S. Senate at the end of his third term. He actually announced this when he ran for this third term, so I applaud him for sticking to it. On the Republican side, the main contest looks to be between Rep. Ted Budd, who has the backing of Trump, and former Governor Pat McCrory, who doesn't because he lost elections. Recent polling had McCrory ahead until former Rep. Mark Walker withdrew from the race because Trump promised him he'd endorse him for one of the open house seats, and most folks backing him seemed to migrate to Budd, putting Budd ahead. It's all pretty messy, but that's what happens when leaders who use unreliable info to make decisions endorse people 9 months before the primary. On the Democrat side, the presumptive primary leader is former North Carolina Supreme Court Chief Justice Cheri Beasley. She narrowly lost her election to keep the court seat in 2020, and so far polling has her behind both Budd and McCrory in one-on-one matchups, so with this being the main statewide race here this year, I hope the party gives her all the boosts possible. North Carolina has 14 House districts, gaining 1 after this year's census. The game of musical chairs here is as bad as the one in Illinois that I talked about last month. At this point, there are 4 open seats, 2 created in redistricting without sitting members, and 2 retiring Democrats. In the 6th district, Rep. David Price's seat is in a safe Democratic area and likely to stay blue. But in the 2nd district, Rep. G.K. Butterfield, in his words, is passing the torch, and, in my words, to someone younger and less tired of this white foolishness than him to fight it out in a highly competitive district. He has represented the 1st district for 18 years, one of only a couple majority black districts in the state, and a formerly reliably blue district. The new 1st district is now very red, and Butterfield, after decades as a civil rights attorney and state Supreme Court justice, as well as leading the Congressional Black Caucus for a term, is jumping ship from a tough go in the 2nd while he still has his sanity. Truly, I have the utmost respect for this man. Instead of trying to make some kind of point of his, devotion to civil rights, it seems like he's read all the rooms and decided that as a black man in his 70s from a state where it's incredibly hard for non-white people to win a federal office, currently part of a party that isn't moving forward legislation that might make that easier, quitting when the opponents make it harder to win seems very logical. And then there's the 11th district, where there are a jumble of incumbents thanks in part to redistricting the state had to do prior to the 2020 election to course correct some previous gerrymandering. Seems useless at this point. Rep. Madison Cawthorn will be running for the 13th district instead, which is being abandoned by Bud, so he's out of this picture. That leaves Republican Virginia Fox, who currently represents the 5th district, and Democrat Kathy Manning, who represents the 6th district. At the end of all of these videos, I might go on a rant about how redistricting like this further contributes to voter suppression, but that's literally for another day. Based on the demographics, the district is projected to go Republican, so with the 2 open seats also leaning red, plus Butterfield's seat at risk of flipping, the delegation could go from 8 Republicans and 5 Democrats to 11 Republicans and 3 Democrats. The entire North Carolina General Assembly is up for re-election, where Republicans hold a majority, but not one that nearly equates to having 79% of the House seats. But I digress. And before anybody gets fussy about me being partisan, watch my video on Maryland, because the Democrats there are ridiculous. Also California. Really, you should just watch all of these videos. Anyway, a decent amount of people from both parties are retiring just because or to run for another office. Plus, there's a handful of open districts due to redistricting, so at the very least, there will be lots of new people joining the General Assembly, which I always love. A couple other notes before I talk about how to vote. The cities of Charlotte and Raleigh will hold mayoral and city council elections this year. They were supposed to happen last year, but a new law was passed that pushed city elections that are divided by districts to even years because of the census. Additionally, lots of judicial elections are happening for the Supreme Court and Court of Appeals. All of these have a primary and general happening the same time as the federal and state ones, and thank God someone had the good sense to do that. Because of the delay of the census data and map finalizing and now lawsuits about the maps, North Carolina's primaries have been pushed to May 17th, and the deadline to register to vote is April 22nd, or you can register at the polls. 16-year-olds can pre-register, and I'm pretty sure my cousin's youngest child is at least 16, so if someone in the family can confirm in the comments that she's registered, that'd be great. And 17-year-olds can vote in the primary if they'll be 18 for the general. Those convicted of a felony can re-register once they've completed incarceration, probation, or parole. There will be an early in-person voting period April 18th to May 14th, and anyone can request a mail-in ballot. And that's the look. Please be sure to check the description box for the playlist of all my Votemas videos, as well as links to learn more about voting in North Carolina. I'll be covering all 50 states and DC in this new year, so check the playlist or stay tuned to learn about your state. Please help the channel, the algorithm, and democracy by liking this video right down there, and leaving a comment if you've gone on to harass your family members about voting after learning something from one of my videos. Most people who have spent time with me in the past 2 months have been subjected to at least 3 rants from me about whatever I researched that day. Subscribe to the channel so the next Votemas video shows up right in your feed. Thanks. I'll see you again soon.